Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for December 7th, 2025. This is season 15, episode number 26, and episode number 540 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we have a very fun show. It's just the two of us today, but we do have some audio that we're going to mix in to this show from this weekend's games against the Port Huron Prowlers. Why am I doing that? Well, let's be perfectly honest, because for the next 9 games for the Binghamton Black Bears, Taylor, who do we play?
Danbury and Watertown.
Woo! Yes, we will be playing the Danbury Hat-Tricks for the next 4 games, and then we have 5 straight games against the Watertown Wolves. I'm telling you right now, I think the Black Bears will be fine in those 9 games. I think 8 wins is easy to say that they could probably do, right? But man, oh man, we have to talk about Danbury and Watertown for the next 9 games, which is really about a whole month. It's like about 30 days that we'll be talking about those two teams. So we're going to mix it up a little bit today and have a little bit of audio, have a little bit of fun on the part of the Port Huron Prowlers a little bit. We'll laugh a little bit, hopefully. Hopefully you'll laugh a little bit as well. But Taylor, your overall thoughts, kind of high level of the weekend and how you think that the Black Bears fared.
I think they did great. I know that last night I kind of told you I was a little bit disappointed in Saturday's game, and not disappointed in the performance on either side, really. It was just more like, you had, Friday night's game, which, is a lot of goals, which is always exciting. It's not always, something that happens.
Right.
So to go from that to, it's a much closer game, and those are usually more exciting. It was a really hard fought battle yesterday. Mm-hmm. But I just felt like especially the second period, it felt like it took so long. And I know that's the Prowler style of play is, a lot of stick infractions, a lot of stick issues, and it's just the constant stoppage in play that just drags me down so much. And then I look up on the shots for goal, and I'm like, they have like 5.
Yeah.
I'm like, how it's, you're stopping the game this much, and you've had 5 shots on goal, and it just felt like it was just dragging, and that's not a great feeling. But I mean, overall, I think the performance was great. I think they did a great job. Cooper definitely, had a better handle on the situation for Saturday's game than he did Friday's game. But yeah, overall, I think it was great.
Yeah, obviously, I thought the weekend fared very well. They scored 12 goals and only gave up 2 goals. I thought Dominik Tmej, if we haven't said it enough, he's been outstanding. In his last 4 games, he's only given up 1 goal per game. I mean, that's pretty awesome. I would say the first few games that he's played this year, he was working on figuring out how to play pro hockey as a goaltender. I think every goaltender goes through that, where the first few games, they're like, okay, how fast are the guys coming in on me? What angles are they going to be shooting from? How is it different from whether it be major, junior, or college hockey, because there is a difference when you go from one level to another level. And I think he's figured it out. And now he is got the confidence of the team. He's got the confidence of the defensemen in front of him. And he has confidence in them, which is pretty good. So I think seeing Dominik Tmej play the way he has was pretty good. I know there's probably people who have questions. Well, why didn't Connor get a game or whatever? And it doesn't really matter. Connor is 9-1, has played in 10 games so far this season, and it's good to get your number 2 in. And especially when you have a number 2 like Dominik Tmej, who right now is fitting in very nicely. It's good. I thought the offense, the power play, the penalty kill, all was just exceptional across the board. For me, Saturday's game, I agree with you. The second period was like, kind of dragged on a little bit, but also at the same time, it felt like there wasn't as much as intensity in that second game that I thought we were going to get from the Prowlers. So I was a little surprised by that. Maybe not disappointed, because we don't need our players getting hurt or going through some of the garbage that they've gone through before against Port Huron, as they muck it up. Like you said, the stick infractions is usually so bad with them, and they get so reckless with it that, as Brant Sherwood said, it's kind of like a weapon. They use their sticks like a weapon. And we didn't see that much, which was fine. I thought both teams played well defensively on Saturday, so I thought that was good. But I kind of agree with you. Saturday's game seemed to drag a little bit, where Friday's game, even with 10 goals and the penalties that they did have, I felt like it went quicker.
Yeah, and for Saturday, as you said, we were almost expecting it to be, maybe a little chippy or maybe a little more physical, aggressive fight as something, something that, because, Friday's game kind of led into that pretty well. Like, there was quite a few moments where we were like, oh, Saturday's game is going to get really, intense. It's going to get really physical. Something's going to happen. But then we didn't get that. And part of me, I questioned why that doesn't happen, especially against Port Huron. Because if you look at their track record, every team that they face, if it's a 2-game series, their first game, if they, if it's a close game, if they lose, whatever the situation is, they have 3 fights the next game.
Yeah.
But they don't do that with the Black Bears. And I was trying to rattle my brain on why that could be. And I'm almost going to just take it down to, I think it's because they know the players on our teams are, they've been in the league, they've played in other leagues, or, whatever the stance might be for our first 2 lines. They're pretty much, they're pros, they're vets, whatever. We don't have a lot of rookies.
Yeah.
Because if you noticed in Saturday's game, the only time that they tried to start something, especially Bussell, the only time he tried to get physical with people was when it was our third line and it was against Sirota or Swain.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think when Emery tried to get involved, they didn't want to go with him. They just, and that's the Josh Newberg thing too with Danbury, right? I've talked about this before on the show with you, and even before you came to the show, I talked about how Josh Newberg, why is he always picking on the rookies? Why is he going after the young guys? Is it to get like an easy win to fire up his own team? I don't understand that. Now, I don't think Jamie Bussell is that kind of player like Josh Newberg, but you noticed something that literally I've noticed about Josh Newberg for the past year and a half.
Yeah, I happened to know it just seemed like anytime the third line was out there was the only time that Port Huron was trying to poke and prod and try to get somebody to, Bussell grabbed 3 guys this weekend, and it was it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
He very much reminded me of, you're saying, Josh Newberg, but in Saturday's game is when I noticed that they only went after the third line rookies, it seemed like, to try to get anything to come about. But I also know, Brockway didn't play in Saturday's game.
Yeah.
And maybe that was a difference because, Brockway, I'm pretty sure, leads them in penalty minutes.
He loses his cool too much. He does. On the ice, when something happens that doesn't go in the favor of the Prowlers, he loses his cool too much. It's one of the attributes about him that doesn't fare well for him for playing at a higher level of hockey.
So to me, it kind of just reminds me of a Jesso.
Yeah, loses his cool.
But I mean, he stood there off ice. He stood next to the backup goalie all night, and he was talking to people. He didn't. Is a completely different person off the ice. It's so funny.
Most of these guys are. That's 100% the truth. Who was it that was spinning around in circles with Emery at one point? Was that Bussell?
Probably.
Because there was a point in Saturday's game where somebody was spinning around with Emery, and someone will have to just send me a message and tell me who it is, because I probably won't go back at this point and look at it. But they were spinning around in circles and circles and circles, and then literally nobody dropped the gloves, nobody fought. Although the Prowler had shed his gloves, but I think they were still in. He was holding them holding one of them at least in his hand. So it was very interesting. It was just an odd response from the Prowlers. They got almost no shots on goal in the first 2 periods, and then they got 9 shots on goal in the third period on Saturday's game. But it was an odd response. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get into it more here. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and please don't forget to subscribe. We're in the like subscription stakes at this point, because people just can keep subscribing, which is great on YouTube and Spotify. I see those numbers a lot. Apple Podcasts, people are listening and subscribing. It's very, very cool. Join the conversation on Facebook, search the Power Play Post Show, and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, just visit binghamtonhockey.net, your go-to source for stats, history, and all things Binghamton Hockey, including the top 5 of Binghamton Black Bears players, which Taylor literally just pimped out the other day for us when someone asked about it. So, Trey, you can go to binghamtonhockey.net for all those kinds of things, which I will be updating a little bit later on today to get those stats in order from this weekend's games. But which was pretty cool. Taylor, thank you for pimping that out.
Of course. You always say that you feel like people don't pay attention to it. And I look at it all the time. And then I'll even ask you questions about it. And I saw a perfect opportunity to do it. So I did.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I want to start off the show by saying that I met a few people this weekend, which I hadn't met yet, and it was very cool. So I want to give them, all 3 of them, some shout outs. I met a young fan named JJ who follows me on Instagram. He, I believe, is the kid who gets picked up and, over the shoulder of his father, or at least he did, and now they have the cardboard cutout of him. I believe that's him. I could be wrong, but I met JJ. He is a young fan. I believe he's a goalie in the 12 and under in the STHA program, which was very cool, very nice. He recognized me immediately, said hello. They wanted a picture. I met his mom. Very, very cool. I got to do that. I got to meet him. Wyatt Freelander brought his mom, Trish, up to the press box to say hello. And Taylor, she is a big fan of yours, so we have to get a meetup set up. So Trish, thank you very much for coming up and saying hello. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for reading our stuff. We really do appreciate that, which is pretty cool. But I did point her out to you, or I pointed you out to her so she could see where you guys were sitting. But that was very cool. And then, of course, I met Stephen Brown, former guest here on the show, who alerted myself of Wyatt and hooked up the Black Bears with Wyatt Freelander as well. So I got to meet all 3 of those. I'm hoping that you get to meet Trish very, very soon, because I think that would be very cool. She was very, very excited, probably more excited than the 2 of us are right now.
I would love to. I mean, I love meeting the parents. I've met, quite a few of them so far, and it's always a blast. I like to see, like the personalities from the players in their parents, and it's so much fun. I mean, like, Steve McAnanama and Connor, they seem so much alike. Yeah. And then, Sirota's dad, that was awesome. I absolutely loved meeting him. That was so much fun. He is. Meeting trip. Parents is just a lot of fun. Yeah.
Unless Sirota is a trip. Absolutely. I did talk to Zach a little bit after the game on Saturday night, which was kind of nice. So we got to talk for a few minutes. He's kind of excited. He was very excited to have Austin Thompson on his line with him. He's like, that's how deep our team is. Right? Austin was on my wing. And I said, wait until Kyle Steffen comes in. I mean, he could be the 3rd line center. He goes, nah, he'll probably be on my wing. I'll be the center. So I thought that was awesome, right? Like, Zach is dictating like literally how the lineup is going to be, which totally makes sense from what we know about Zach and everything. So it was great to meet those guys. Hopefully we get to meet more fans. If you want to, just come up and say hello. That it's, I walk around every once in a while. I'll walk around the concourse and someone will say hi. Sometimes I don't recognize you. I apologize, but you're recognizing me and I appreciate it. It means you're listening to us. You're reading our stuff, and that's very, very cool. And it keeps growing, which is awesome. But Taylor, let's get into the first game, Friday night's game.
All right. Black Bears defeat the Prowlers on Friday night by a score of 9-1. December 5th, 2025, Visions Veterans Memorial Arena, Game 18 of the season, Port Huron Prowlers at Binghamton Black Bears. First period, the Black Bears got on the score sheet first with Gavin Yates' rebound goal after Nick Swain took a nice shot that the Prowlers netminder Cooper Reid put right on the stick of Yates just 2:12 into the first period. The Black Bears made it a 2-0 after CJ Stubbs' goal just 1 minute and 39 seconds later. Gavin Yates scored his second goal of the game, 9:28 into the first period after coming all the way into the zone, throwing a deke around Prowler defensive before going 5-hole past Reed Cooper to make this a 3-0 game.
I think, Taylor, after that first period, I was like, oh boy, okay, it's 3-0. And the Prowlers did not show up like I thought they were going to show up in that first period. I think it was a surprise to me. Was this a surprise to you?
I think it was a surprise to everybody. I mean, all week long we've heard that, the bus issues, the sickness. So I think we had we were kind of knowing what was going to come about the game.
Yeah.
But it just felt like they just weren't into it. But at the same time, Gavin Yates seemed really hot in the first period.
Yes.
So, and he just, showed up even more.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, he did. All right, scratches in the game were Kyle Steffen. He's not ready to play yet. Cam Servone and Connor McAnanima. Starters were Tyson Kirkby, CJ Stubbs, Ivan Bondarenko, Austin D'Orazio, Dan Stone, and Dominik Tmej. Obviously, Friday night's game was the first game for Tyson Kirkby since he came back from injury. So it was good to see the captain back on the ice. Your thoughts on his weekend? I know he didn't score a goal. I think he had an assist in Friday night's game, if I remember correctly, from going through the stats. Your thoughts on just having the captain back? I love the fact that he was in front of the net and doing what he normally does in front of the net.
I think he did a great job. I mean, I know he didn't, get a goal, which I think everybody was wanting just because, it's his first, game back. And, he started off the season really strong. He played one game and had a hat trick. I mean, come on. But, I think overall his presence on the ice, it was very much missed. And on Saturday's game, I was trying to get a video of it just so I could send it to his dad. But I was trying to get a video of him because anytime he got near Cooper, he was making crying noises, or he was just saying wah, wah, wah. He was just mocking him every time he went by him. And of course, when I tried to take a video of it, he stopped doing it. So I finally gave up, but it was so funny. He was doing everything he could to get in his head, and I think it was working. But yeah, it's so nice to have him back on the ice instead of on the bench.
Yeah.
And I think everybody else feels that too.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. It was good to have him there. He'll score again soon. I have no doubts in my mind, especially with us playing Danbury for the next 4 games. I'm sure he was probably looking at the schedule going, okay, I'm going to come back there for Port Huron. Crap, there's 4 games against Danbury afterwards. I would want to come back to play them guys. But it is what it is, and I'm sure he'll be a great asset to us going into the Danbury series because we're going to need him. The Black Bears got off to a great start with 2 goals and 8 shots before Dan Stone took the game's first penalty, a holding call as the Prowlers were pressuring in front of Dominik Tmej at the 6:54 mark of the first period. The Prowlers have had quality shots on Tmej. He's had to make a few big saves. I think the Prowlers, with the few amount of shots that they had throughout the whole weekend, Taylor, and obviously they had more on Friday night than they did on Saturday, which I think was a little bit surprising when you look at the score 9-1, and then you look at the shots on goal afterwards. You're like, oh, that was actually a little bit closer shots wise than we thought. But Dominik did have to perform very well, and it started right off in the first period even.
Yeah, I think Dominik's best game was obviously Friday night's game. He looked, especially the second period in Saturday's game, he looked really, just kind of all by his lonesome. Like they could have played All By Myself on the loudspeaker and people probably would have loved it because he's just down there. I don't think he saw the puck for quite a few minutes. Didn't have anybody come down and say hi to him or nothing. So he had some great saves in Friday night's game, and he had to make a couple in Saturday's game, but I don't think Saturday's was as much pressure as it was Friday.
Oh, no doubt in my mind. I agree with you 100% on that. When I saw the Prowlers hit 10 shots on goal in the period, I was a little surprised, but they always seem to find a way to create pressure. better. I do like what I see from Sargis so far. We'll talk a little bit more about him in just a little bit. Gavin has had the hot hands on Friday night, especially in that first period. I can see him getting a third unless the Prowlers find a way to stop him from skating freely, because that's one of the things that if you allow Gavin Yates to skate anywhere on the ice through the neutral zone, through into the offensive zone, and let him cross over in front of your goaltender, you're usually going to get beat by him. It's just the way it is. And they could not stop him on Friday night at all, and he got 2 goals, obviously, in the first period. Maybe because of the travel or the sickness last week, the Prowlers are not playing as physical or chippy as they normally do. And if you're wondering why I say physical and or chippy, that's because you should go back and listen to our previous show. With 1:46 left to go in the period, Tmej had to make 2 big saves, one on his back and one another on a rebound attempt. The last minute of the period, the Black Bears got 5 unanswered shots on goal. Tyson was a presence out there, though he needs to get his legs underneath him, but he was effective. There's no way in that first period his legs were even warmed up yet. I mean, it's just not the way that works when a guy comes back, because no matter how much you practice, you just don't have the game legs yet. And he's only played now 3 games. I mean, he's probably feeling it this morning just a little bit. Power play opportunities, Binghamton was 0 for 0 and Port Huron was 0 for 2. Shots on goal, Binghamton 18. And again, surprising, but Port Huron had 14 shots on goal in the first period. Let's go into the second.
The second period starts with a Port Huron goal, 4:33 into the period. Luke James scored to make this a 3-1 game. With Matt Graham in the penalty box for hooking, only the game's 3rd penalty and the Black Bears' first power play opportunity, Austin D'Orazio scores his 8th goal of the season and his 5th man-up goal. Gavin Yates scored his hat-trick goal at the 8:23 mark of the middle period, the Black Bears' 4th hat-trick of the season and his 3rd as a Black Bear. With Dan Weber in the penalty box for tripping, the Black Bears scored their 3rd shorthanded goal of the season, scored by CJ Stubbs with 1:43 left to go in the period to make this a 6-1 game.
Wait. Hold on a second. CJ Stubbs scored a specialty goal? No way. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Yes.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, no kidding. It's what CJ does. It's either game-winning goal or a power play goal. I mean, he had 2 of those this weekend as well. It's just crazy on how that works. After the Black Bears' 5th goal of the game, the Prowlers pulled Reed Cooper for Huber Bailey. This was Gavin Yates' 3rd hat trick as a Black Bear, as Taylor just mentioned. Austin D'Orazio has been good on the power play. When the Black Bears' power play got hot, D'Orazio was a big part of that reason. Taylor, would you agree with that? When they started finally scoring power play goals, I think it was really when they put Dan Stone and Austin D'Orazio onto the power play, and D'Orazio on that first unit has been just so good.
Oh yeah, he definitely, he gives me the Bond feeling. He is very fast. He comes in hot. His shots are usually right on. He gives me that warm fuzzy feeling of missing Bond, but he's kind of taken that spot. But yeah, I think after they got rid of the 5 forwards thing and they started doing the, throwing D'Orazio and Stone out there, the power play just seems to absolutely excel, and you've got to imagine that they're a huge part of it.
Yeah. The Black Bears did not have the controlled, sustained pressure in the offensive zone in this period like they normally do, but they still scored 2 goals. They usually don't get outshot in the second period, so that has to be a win for the Prowlers to go back and look at. When the Black Bears get a shorty to make it 6-1, CJ Stubbs adding to his specialty goals. He now has 11 goals, 5 on the power play, 1 shorthanded goal, and 5 goals are game winners. That even changes tomorrow. And as it stands now, he has the game winner. If scored, it'd be the same as he scored the Black Bears' 2nd goal, which it did. So basically, CJ Stubbs gets he has basically 6 game-winning goals after this weekend. He had a power play goal, a shorthanded goal. It's just crazy on how he keeps adding that up. The 2 teams met as Bailey Huber was trying to cross the ice to leave, but cooler heads prevailed. He was trying to come from normally the end of the zone where Binghamton usually goes off the ice. He's coming across. There was some conversation, but cooler heads prevailed, at least in that game. Power play opportunities, Binghamton 1 for 3, Port Huron 0 for 1. Shots on goal, Binghamton 9. Again, Port Huron 12. Surprise there. Totals, Binghamton still led 27-26 after 40 minutes. Let's talk about the third period.
Third period, Austin Thompson scored his 13th goal of the season on the power play, with Timothy Organ in the box for roughing at the 3:41 mark of the third period. Gavin's hot hand gave him a 4-goal game, scoring his 4th goal just 5:02 into the third period, making this an 8-1 lead for the Black Bears. Zach Sirota got into the party with the Black Bears' 9th goal on the power play, with the Prowlers' Nicholas Farvo in the box for holding, giving the Black Bears a 9-1 victory in the second-place Prowlers.
You know, I talked about it the next day on Saturday in my day after game report, and I still haven't written mine yet. As we're recording this now about 1:46, I still haven't written it for last night's game yet. But I have to say, the third line with Zach and Jacob Shankar and Emerson Emery, they just the 4 guys that have made up the third line, I just really like the way they played this weekend, Taylor. I don't know if we've given them enough hype. I don't know if we've talked about them enough this season. I know we've mentioned their names here and there, but the way the third line is matching up and looking like it might be, and if you put Kyle Steffen down there, oh my God, the third line is just as good as any other line. But it's kind of crazy. And then Austin Thompson was on the third line, because where do you fit him in the top 2 lines on Saturday night? But I have to say, leading even up to this weekend's games, the third line has been really good.
Yeah, and I think even the fans have noticed that too. I mean, my impact players, I get comments on there that are, oh, well, so-and-so and so-and-so. I'm like, listen, if I could choose 20 players, I would. That's my problem with doing the impact players, is that it's so hard to choose 3 players out of the entire team, because everybody at some point in that game had a great play, or they did something really smart, or they impacted it somehow.
Right.
And that third line, we're not seeing a ton of points coming from them. Sirota got back-to-back points in the games, but overall, just the way that they're handling themselves out there on the ice, it's enough to keep up with our first and second line, and that's saying something, because we do have really stacked lines. I'm just saying, we do, and we can barely, according to Chris Paulin, he's surprised that we can actually, keep the salaries under the salary cap, which is pretty interesting. Let's play that right now.
They found a way to fit all those guys in the salary cap, which I'm impressed with. It's a great job by them.
Yeah, I mean, Chris just says it right there. It's like it's crazy that we can have a stacked lineup and keep it all under the salary cap. That's just a cue for later on, guys. You'll hear more from Chris Paulin, because honestly, one of the best parts of the Fed right now is when Will Wigelman, who is a great friend of the show, I love Will, got to see him twice, obviously, this weekend, say hello, get to talk to him. So Will, if you're listening, hello, this is your shout out. Dude, you're just a good dude and love you. He does such a great job on the Prowlers broadcast. But I have to say, one of the best things they do is they go and they talk to Chris Paulin after each game. And Chris Paulin's not afraid to say stuff. He's not afraid to just talk. And he's got a big, loud voice, which is great. And he just kind of fits things in. I think he really likes to talk, kind of like me, right? So I guess that's probably why I enjoy listening to him a little bit. But he said some pretty fun stuff. I know you watched the night before, the Friday night games post game, and then I had you listening to last night's, because there's some stuff we're going to play from that. But just kind of entertaining.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, like, could you imagine Brant doing something like that after each game?
Brant would probably get into too much trouble. Like, I don't think Chris Paul, like, you know, I think Brant would be great at it. And I think Brant knows how to say certain things, and he speaks very eloquently and articulately. You know, he's really good at talking. But, you know, sometimes the best post-game interviews isn't necessarily the ones after you win. And of course, we're 17-2, right? So it's like, some of it gets stale and it's the same thing over and over again. But when you lose a little bit and you lose to a really good team, that's when the audio can get kind of entertaining, like it did with Chris Paulin. So, and I just appreciate, Chris doing it, and I appreciate Will getting that stuff and putting it out there. They do a great job. Even on the road, they go down there and they film that and they get that up there and they get it into their post game. It's pretty awesome how they do that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But all right, third period notes. Only Connor Smith in Binghamton Black Bears franchise history has ever scored 4 goals in a game. He did it on February 14th of 2024 versus the Elmira River Sharks. When Gavin is on, he is on. I don't think there's any question about that at all. There's so much to unpack from this game. The Black Bears did not get the Prowlers' best hockey. I just totally believe they didn't. The Prowlers practiced one time this week, being stuck in Topeka for 2 extra days, then traveled to Binghamton in a Sprinter vans with their bus in Topeka. The flu ran through the Prowlers locker room. However, I want to say there were moments, a couple, where the Prowlers had good pressure in the Black Bears D zone. I think the factor was Tmej was excellent tonight, and the Black Bears cleared a lot of rebounds. Don't get me wrong. The Black Bears trounced the Prowlers on Friday night. No doubt about it. Gehrett Sargis was good in the faceoff circle. He had moments when he pressured in front of the Prowlers' 2 netminders, and he had no problem getting physical and chippy with the Prowlers on Friday night. I liked his play. It's enough to the edge without going over or being dirty. I'm going to stop there. What did you think of Gehrett Sargis in the first game?
We absolutely loved it. I mean, he's probably still talking about it, to be honest. This is the kind of player that Jeremy has, been so excited for. And he constantly brings up when he got elbowed in the face and then just immediately just shoved the guy, and like no pressure at all. Just, it looked like he lightly tapped this dude and he almost pushed him right over, the benches. But his presence on the ice alone is just, it's so different than everybody else's.
Yeah.
And the best way to look at it is when he does a face-off, like especially against the Prowlers, like when the Prowlers do a face-off, they are so low to the ice. Like they could almost just kiss the ice because that's how low they get. Mm-hmm. And he just comes up and he's like so slow to approach. He looks to see where every other Black Bear is, so he knows like where he's going to put the puck or, where they're going to be after it drops. And then he just takes it. And it's like the first couple times he like waits for the Prowlers to make a move and then he just takes the puck from them. And it's insane like how much control he has. And you would think, because, everybody talks about how like big he is, mm-hmm. that he wouldn't have, the flexibility or the grace speed to move the puck the way that he does.
Or the speed.
But he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I really liked his play. He didn't cost the Black Bears defensively, being that that was his first game on Friday night. He didn't cost them defensively, being that it was his second game on Saturday night. He seemed like he was just playing 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago or last week up in the coast. But obviously he's been off since last year. He basically part-timed it and just did half the year last year in Norfolk. So again, coming in here and doing that, very tough. Not easy for someone like Gehrett Sargis to do that, but, there's a relationship between he and Brant Sherwood and CJ Stubbs and Mac Jansen and Ivan Bondarenko. These guys all kind of know each other from 5 years ago. And they have decided to come together and make it work, which is really, really cool. All right. It'll be interesting to see how the Prowlers respond on Saturday. As we all know, we saw how they responded. That was the Black Bears' 7th win in a row on Friday night. Tmej has only given up 1 goal in each of his last 3 games. Well, we'll make that 4 now. He is 5-1-0. Sports a 2.01 goals against average and a .935 save percentage. He is considered the number 2 netminder in Binghamton, which he is. The Black Bears are good with McAnanima and Tmej. And if there's there's ever a need, Wyatt Freelander is there, and Wyatt looked good in his 2 games. Lastly, the third period was again the Black Bears' best period of the game. They outshot the Prowlers 17-5 and limited the Prowlers to only a couple good shots in the final period. They played such good defense. They scored 3 goals, Taylor, but they played such good defense in that third period.
I know. So we constantly talk about how great our goaltending lineup is, and then that our team only allows so many shots on net to begin with. So it's one of those things. But at the same time, usually the shots that our tenders are seeing, they're pretty good quality shots. Like they have to make some great saves. But yeah, overall they seem to really shut down on the third period, which is great. It really kind of just helps make you feel, more at ease that, they're not gonna let the Prowlers come in and try to make any kind of comeback or try to get back into the game. So yeah, overall they're the third period, they really shut everything down.
Yeah. All right. Power play opportunities in the third period. Binghamton was 2 for 2. Port Huron was 0 for 1. I don't think anybody scored. I was going to do the numbers before we did the show today. I wanted to go back. When was the last time we gave up a power play goal? Because I know it's been 5 or 6 games now, at least, maybe even longer than that. Shots on goal, Binghamton 17, Port Huron 5, which is nuts. Totals, Binghamton 44, Port Huron 31. Now, 31 is a lot of shots to get on our netminder. That doesn't happen that often where a team gets up to 30 or over 30.
Yeah, it's usually, like 20 is usually the max we normally get. But I think Port Huron, the last time we faced them, they did the same kind of thing. They had quite a few shots on goal compared to what we normally see. But Port Huron's pretty good at putting pressure on when they're not doing all the other antics.
Nope, I totally agree. All right, let's put a bow on this one, and then we got some audio to play. After you put the bow on it, we'll play a little bit of audio.
Black Bears trounce Prowlers. Yates scores 4 goals in 9-1 win. Gavin Yates scored his 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th goal of the season. His third hat trick as a Black Bear assisted on another for a 5-point night. Gavin's 4 goals is only the second time in Black Bears franchise history that a player has scored 4 goals in a game. As mentioned earlier, Connor Smith did it in 2024 in February 14th against the Elmira River Sharks. CJ Stubbs scored his 11th and 12th goals of the season, assisted on another for a 3-point night. Austin D'Orazio scored his 8th goal of the season. Jesse Anderson assisted on 2 goals for a 2-point night. Nick Swain assisted on 2 goals for a 2-point night. Scott Ramakers assisted on 2 goals for a 2-point night. Austin Thompson scored his 13th goal of the season and assisted on another for a 2-point night. Zach Sirota scored his 2nd goal of the season. Dominik Tmej saved 26 of 27 shots, earning his 5th win of the season, improving to a 5-1-0. The Black Bears improved to 16-2-0 with 47 points and remain atop of the Empire Division.
Yeah, so let's get right to it. We've got this audio package brought to you by Gavin Yates.
Down low, he was the one that Sargis sent down to the ice on that big first drive of the game. Right off a line change, Swain comes in, rebounds for Yates is there, and he scores! Gavin Yates knocks in a rebound from Nick Swain, who made a beautiful play to intercept the puck coming off the bench. And it's 1-0 Binghamton. Gonna see how he does here as Yates cuts right to the net, undresses the defense and the goaltender. Make it 3-0 Binghamton, and we're not even halfway through the first period. Off the glass and around the wall to the near side. Thompson into the circle. Sargis, nice move. Backhand set across. They score! There's the hat trick for Gavin Yates. Make it 3 tonight for Gavin. Stretch pass ahead to Yates. He's got to step on the defense. Cuts into the middle. Forehand, backhand. He scores. There's the 4th. Gavin Yates has his name in Black Bear history. He's tied with Connor Smith for our franchise record, 4 goals in a single game.
I don't think that Brooks was excited enough for that 4th goal. It was kind of funny how, it's like, oh, there's a goal call. There's the second one. Gets the hat trick. Of course, he, gets a little bit more excited. But then that 4th one was an excellent call by Brooks. Just so excited. And it built right up to the point where Gavin scored the goal.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. if you just go back a couple minutes ago to me reading, 2 goals, 2-point night, 2-point, like it seems very fitting that, these guys like to, make their mark and make some points. And as you said, when Gavin's on, he's on. So it definitely doesn't surprise me. And it's very exciting to get a hat trick alone is exciting. And then it was fairly early in the game. So I think everybody wanted another goal from him. They probably would have wanted 10, to be honest, but
I listen. It would have been really interesting if he would have scored a 5th goal. It would have been wow. What a game he had on Friday night. All right, let's look at the roster moves over the past few days, because obviously, folks, one of the hardest things for fans is the roster moves and what's going to happen and who's coming in, who's leaving, well, all that good stuff. Why do you have to do that? It's part of the game. But let's see here. The Black Bears signed on December 4th. That was Gehrett Sargis. That was the one big signing I was telling you guys about for the past couple of weeks, basically saying this guy's coming in. He's got a great resume. He's played at higher levels, SPHL, ECHL level. He's come in. Obviously, he's done really well. Of course, then on Friday, we get word that Mac Jansen is being loaned to the Adirondack Thunder of the ECHL. So really well-deserved call-up for Mac. Now, I did check the stats. No shots on goal. I don't know how much he got in playing-wise. I'm sure he was on their 3rd or the 4th line and probably didn't get on the ice too much, but still very good for Mac to get that first call-up to the ECHL because I believe he's only played in the SPHL. And then, of course, also on Friday, the 5th, Tyson Kirkby returned from IR. Everybody was excited about that. Saturday morning, Mac Jansen was returned, and then Jacob Shankar was placed on the 15-day IR. At this point right now, even with Kyle Stefan on the roster, we are good because Jacob will be on the IR for the next 2 weeks. And Brant Sherwood basically is going to have him assessed in 2 weeks to find out if they need to extend it or if they need to have him come off and then make a move, and we'll see what happens. If Jacob comes back in 2 weeks, the Black Bears will have to make a roster move of some sort. What that is, I don't know what it is. I just know that's what it is. But at least that's what the last 3 or 4 days were, and honestly, I think it was all good stuff at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Sargis signing, nobody's seen him play, so it was kind of. I know that we've talked about it, and it was, we had mentioned that it was a big signing. Mm-hmm. So for him to kind of go out there and show what he's got and, get a little bit of a taste of it. I know originally you had said that he was only playing in Friday night's game.
Yeah,
and
that's what I was told.
Jeremy and I were very much hoping he played in Saturday's game as well. So I was excited that he was able to play in both games, and that, originally Brant had said, maybe just Friday's game to get, some time on him, get him out for a game, see how he does, see how he handles it, and then he can sit again. But it was very nice to see him out there for 2 games. He didn't seem. It's almost like he hasn't missed a beat at all. It seems like he's been playing this whole time, especially like he looks like he fits right in.
Right.
Which is always awesome. Jansen, we knew he was probably just going to be up there for a game.
Yep.
Even though we had mentioned it, you couldn't beat the dead horse even more about it. People still asked.
It's true. But it's okay. Not everyone's going to listen to our show, and not everyone's going to read our posts. So, I mean, you can only do so much. The information is there. We do bring it to you as much as we can.
And then Tyson coming back, I think it's been long overdue. Everybody has been so excited for him to come back. Mm-hmm. It's been, just week after week. Literally, it's almost been like day after day of people asking when he's going to come back. I'm so happy he's back. I'm sure the team, the fans, everybody else is excited that he's back. And then, putting Shankar on the IR, it keeps us good for now. It gives you, 2 more weeks to kind of think about what moves you need to make. And that's the only concern that I have is how, the fan base is going to handle it, just because eventually, you have to make a move. You've got to figure out something. And that's the worst part about all of this. Mm-hmm. And I know it's always the hardest for the fans is what kind of moves we have to make. And I always say it, but they just make such a connection with the players that it doesn't matter who it is. They could be there for a day. It's going to hurt.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, I do want to mention before we move on to Saturday's game, Tim Kim up in the SPHL has 1 goal, I believe 4 assists since he's gone up there. So congrats to Tim Kim. He's, he just needs to keep doing what he's doing. Blake Tosto being up in the SPHL, he loves it up there. So, or down there, because, most of the teams are down south. It was the Southern Professional Hockey League at one point before they changed their name to just SPHL, meaning nothing. So it's just SPHL. But I just wanted to mention that about Tim Kim. I thought that was pretty cool. But let's get into Saturday's game.
Black Bears again defeat the Prowlers, this time by a score of 3-1. December 6, 2025, Visions Veterans Memorial Arena, Game 19 of the season, Port Huron Prowlers at Binghamton Black Bears. First period, the Prowlers start the scoring in this game with a weak goal that trickled between the legs of Dominik Tmej at the 4:54 mark of the first period off the stick of Reggie Millette.
Now, we've seen every single goal that Dominik Tmej has given up. And when I say this was a weak goal and it trickled between the legs of Tmej, there's no joke. You have to see it. I mean, it's like slow motion as the puck is rolling across the line and whatnot. I think he would love to have that one back. But maybe out of even the other goals that he's given up in the first 3 games of his career, that one was probably the worst one. And yet then he shuts them down from then on out. So I want to make that perfectly clear. I do think it was a weak goal that Tmej gave up. However, he shut them down after that. And it's almost an afterthought. You don't even have to think about it anymore, because literally in 2 games, because he got 2 games in a row. I don't think Nolan Egbert got many games in a row with Connor McAnanama in there. It's, I think it happened one weekend where he played in Friday night's game, Saturday night's game, and then a Sunday game. And because it doesn't happen that often. So, but I just wanted to mention that about that goal before you move down.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. For me, it definitely seemed like it was slow motion. I didn't even know that it went in at first, but I sit lower, so I had to watch the replay, and I was watching, and I was like, oh, it's one of those heartbreaking goals for a goalie. It's just, you watch it back and you're like, oh, that's rough. Cause he thought he had it, and as they do, they just freeze. Yep. If they think they got the puck, they'll just sit on it and freeze and hope. But it trickled in, and that's just the unfortunate thing that happens.
And unfortunately for Binghamton fans, it was Reggie Millette.
Yeah, that's the other unfortunate thing.
But listen, I want to say something small about the Reggie Millette stuff here in Binghamton with the booing. I've said multiple times, and I just and Taylor, you do not have to comment about this, but I want to say that I have said multiple times. And this is the reason why I will not harp on this. I will not get into the pissing matches online. I know there was a great article on Greater Binghamton today about it, and people delving into the whole, booing him, and, because he's black, that people think it's racist because people don't know the story about the incident before. I'm going to say something, and I think this is very important. It's something I've said in the past, and I stick by this a lot. When you buy a ticket and you go into a rink, you have the right to cheer, to boo, and to put your hands under your asses and do nothing at all. I understand the dislike for Millette because of what happened with the incident, and we don't know all the details. Not everybody does, right? But to create a division between people because some people want to boo him because of the incident versus not, and because, well, some people don't know the story, so they just think you're booing him because he's black, and that's just crazy nonsense stuff, right? It's just crazy. One of the great things about hockey versus all the other sports in the world, because even in the sport of racing that Jeremy does, the fans are a non-factor in racing, right? The fans are a non-factor in football. They're a non-factor in baseball for the most part. And in basketball, maybe it's similar because the court is so small and the fans are right on top of the court, and maybe they can hear, the basketball players can hear them. But in hockey, the fans are a big part of it. They can be the seventh man in some cases. And I just want to say, in my opinion, regardless, because I've talked to many, many players that have done stupid stuff on the ice, including a couple Black Bears who have done stupid stuff on the ice, and they are amazing people off the ice. Judging someone on his worst day and on his best day is not the true measure of a man. What he does all in between really is. I'm not saying you can't boo him. I'm not saying you should boo him. All I'm saying is that telling people they can't do something is maybe a little bit worse. That's a little bit fascist, and I don't like that part of it. But he is a good hockey player. He is skilled, and he has done a lot for the Port Huron Prowlers as a hockey player just alone on the ice, and that's how I look at it. And if the Binghamton fans want to boo him or not boo him is non-existent in me. That's why I have not really commented on it until today.
I agree with you for the most part on the whole situation. I saw that somebody had made a post talking about they should stop because people who don't know the story are going to think whatever they think. People are going to think anything's anyways.
Yeah.
You can't always control what people are going to think. So that does not make any factor in it whatsoever. I'm on the side of, the section that I sit in, which is, it can be rowdy. We like to chirp the backup goalie. We like to chirp the players when they're coming off the ice.
I used to sit in 21, so I know what you guys do over there.
But as far as the booing, the section that I'm in, we didn't partake in that. We just very much just watched the hockey game. Mm-hmm. I personally, and like you said, you can't tell people that they can or can't boo. That's totally up to them. I wish it would stop, just because, one, it happened however many years ago. I don't know if it was last year, 2 years. Sure. I don't know.
Right.
It wasn't in this league.
No.
It was something that happened. It was an unfortunate thing. I'm not saying what he did was right. I'm not going to say anything else about it. I don't know the full situation. I don't know the full story other than what I've read online.
Sure.
But it happened X amount of years ago. At some point, you have to let it go. Right. Because we could bring up, a couple things, a situation with Gavin, a situation with Weber, they've done something in the heat of a moment that wasn't considered a good thing. And, fans can hold on to that for years. And if you were, at their arena and you heard them booing your player for years because of one thing, you'd probably get sick of it.
Yeah.
That's just the point that I'm at. Just because I feel like it takes away from the game because he is a good player.
Yeah.
He does handle the puck well, and he has the puck a lot.
Yes, he does.
So the constant booing is just, it gets old after a while for me. Yeah. I personally just wish it would, people would just let it go. You want to boo him when he comes off the ice? Do that. Don't boo him every time he touches the puck.
I think sometimes people telling people what to do is a little frustrating for me because it's like, they're like, oh, we need to stop the, like when they chant the goalie's name and then say you suck afterwards. It's like, come on, that's a lot of that is part of hockey. But I understand where you're coming from, where it's like, okay, he touches the puck a lot, so we have to hear it a lot. And it would be nice if it was a story that could just kind of go away when they come to Binghamton. And again, I have talked to a lot of players that have done a stupid thing here and there, right? And I'm not saying that they're even close to the level of what he did one time, right? But what I'm saying is you shouldn't judge somebody on their worst day unless he's Hitler. That's different, right? Okay, his worst day was like about 4 or 5, 6, 7 years, right? So you can judge him. This is not the same level. This is different. Again, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I want to move on. I just want to let people know that, you buy a ticket, you have the right to boo, to cheer, or to do nothing. And so I'm not going to tell people not to, and I'm not going to tell people to do so because I think that's just there. let's move on with the first period goals.
I never would have thought that we'd be comparing hockey and Hitler at the same time ever in my life.
I know.
Moving on, with Austin Federley in the penalty box for a double minor for high sticking, the Black Bears tie the game with an Austin D'Orazio power play goal with 8:59 to go in the first period. Then, with Alex Johnson in the box for unsportsmanlike conduct, the Black Bears get another power play goal from defenseman as Dan Stone cashes in with 2:53 to go in the first period, making this a 2-1 game.
By the way, that is Dan Stone's second goal of the season and his second on the power play. I talked to him a little bit after the game, congratulate him and said, hey, you only score on the power play. He goes, that's okay, right? And I'm like, yes, definitely is okay, which was pretty cool. First period note scratches in the game: Wyatt Freelander, Kyle Steffen, Cam Servone. Connor McAnanima was the backup in this game. Starters: Dominik Tmej, Tyson Kirkby, CJ Stubbs, Ivan Bondarenko, Austin D'Orazio, and Dan Stone. Not a good start for the Blackbirds. The Prowlers were finding lanes, but would half of them to score on their only shot on goal so far through 8 minutes. Okay, so basically, I wrote that really totally terrible. In 8 minutes of the first period of the game, they had one goal, one shot, and that's it. And that's not what Binghamton wants to see. The Prowlers' reckless stick syndrome crept up again with a double minor assessed to Austin Federley for high sticking Gavin Yates. I actually had to message you guys and ask who did they high stick, and you guys let me know that it was Gavin. I don't think the Black Bears would have the same puck luck and sync to their power play tonight as they did last night. Now, they had a lot more opportunities on Saturday night, and they did score 3 power play goals, but the percentage is a little bit lower than it was the night before. They're getting shots on Cooper, but he is seeing them come in at him. Would you agree that Cooper just looked better in Saturday's game versus Friday's game?
100%.
Yeah,
definitely. There's no question about it. I mean, I spoke about it several times. He made quite a few really good saves where I was like, I have to give him credit for that, because if it was anybody else, it probably would have been a goal. But he was standing on his head for Saturday's game, and I think he needed to. You went from a game where you got pulled after, he got goaltender of the month, and then the next game you get pulled, because you let 5 goals in. You have to go out there and show it.
Yeah,
you have to go out there and prove, to everybody who just watched your previous game that you're in this for a reason. And that's what he did.
Yeah. Can I play that audio now? Because I got audio from Chris Paulin about Cooper. No, because I find it interesting because he does talk about how Cooper needed to play. So there's like 2 parts to this, and we'll talk about this before we move on.
Yeah, let's talk about Reid Cooper. He kept you in the game. He got seen by Prowlers trainer Regis Smith later in that game. Everything all right? Everything not too bad?
Yeah, that's what it looks like to want to win. That's what it looks like to compete and want to win. That's the type, whether you're 4D goalie, that type of effort and battle, that's what it looks like when you feel inside of you that you need to win and that you'll do whatever it takes to win. When they fall on our goalie for 10 seconds and there's no goalie interference, we miss it, and he throws his blocker up and he's competing with a guy all draped all over him. I mean, that's what being a Prowler is. I don't care what position you are. I'm very proud of his effort. That is the man he's become on and off the ice. And he's going to continue to do it for us. And he's going to set the tone for the rest of our players, because I can promise you we'll have a group of guys, and we're getting there, but a group of guys that have that much urge, that much will to win. And if we do that, we're going to continue to find success here as we go through the second half of the season.
Now, Taylor, what's funny about that? First of all, I want to say, Chris Paulin, you need to cut a promo in WWE or start teaching some of the guys how to cut a promo in WWE, because you, without a doubt, have the charisma and the ability to just literally kind of shoot from the hip and say certain things. He handles his interviews in a way that just kind of entertains me. It makes me giggle sometimes because of some of the things that he says. I agree with him 100%. Cooper just played so much better. Now, do I agree with the whole why the trainer went out there? Probably not. And the reason why is because of this information from Reid Cooper.
Much better effort tonight. Coach Paulin talked about that. What did you think from the goal crease?
The biggest thing was just battling and competing on every single puck. Had to give the boys a chance to win. I care a lot about this group. It's a good rivalry between us and Binghamton, and it's not too hard to get up for those games. So I was kind of just taking it a shot at a time. And
saw you grab your leg there in the third period. Feeling all right?
Yeah, I was cramping a little bit in the calf area. Yeah, just got some mustard in me, and it helped a little bit. So, yeah, I was cramping a bit.
So, Taylor, your thoughts on what Cooper and both Pollen said there?
So this absolutely cracked me up. When you had sent me the Chris Pollen video this morning and I went and watched it, I noticed that they also do it with, they had done an interview with Reid. So I went and I watched that, and I was just laughing because, as you just mentioned, that Pollen could probably sell water to a fish, honestly.
Yeah.
The way that he talks about things and the way that he just, he oversells things, and it's, he's a coach. He's probably going to do that. But to hear him talk about that, and he almost made it seem like we're the reason that he had to be seen by a medical trainer. And then you hear Cooper, and he's like, I had a cramp in my calf, and it was just cramping up. And don't get me wrong, leg cramps suck.
Yeah.
But to go from the story from the coach to be like, goalie interference, they were laying on our goalie for 10 seconds, and he's throwing up his blocker, and he's got people laying across him, and then he's just like, I had a cramp in my calf. It made me laugh so hard. I couldn't believe it. It's just such a difference.
It's so entertaining, though. So entertaining to hear this man talk. And then the goalie comes on and says, "No, I had a cramp." Oh, no, that was just a cramp. It wasn't because they laid on me for 10 seconds, which was just kind of funny. But again, like I said, I felt like he played better. And that was kind of the important thing. All right, power play opportunities in the first period. Binghamton 2 for 4, Port Huron 0 for 2. Again, the streak keeps going of them just not giving up power play goals. Shots on goal, Binghamton 13, Port Huron 4. Yeah. All right, let's go into the second period.
Second period with Timothy Organ in the penalty box for high sticking. Zach Sirota scored his third goal of the season, a power play goal, making this a 3-1 game with 2:47 left to go in the period.
The Prowlers have complained about almost every penalty call against them. I can tell you they are not creating any favor with the referees when you do that. Referees don't like it when you continue to complain. What is Alex Johnson's problem with Austin Thompson? He has been the target of Johnson all night. If you can't beat them, I guess the old saying goes. I did talk to Austin Saturday night after the game, and I asked, Austin this question. I said, listen, what was Johnson's beef with you on the ice tonight? He goes, well, I guess I'm the better 25. Love it. Just that was his answer to me. I think he tried to recruit Austin Thompson at one point, and Austin turned them down. Maybe that's part of it, but I just loved Thompson's response. I'm the better 25. So the Prowlers are killing themselves here. You give the Black Bears 9 opportunities on the power play, and they're going to continue to score power play goals. Zach Sirota in the third line, again, getting it done. They are so good when they're out there. Maybe not scoring goals, but they are defensively sound and just keeping the puck in the zone, which is good. Will be interesting to see how these two teams come out in the third period and play. Also, you play 40 minutes and you have 7 shots on goal. You're likely not going to be in the lead when it's said and done, especially against the Black Bears. Black Bears take an unsportsmanlike conduct at the end of this period when it looked like Cooper, as he was going off the ice, and Tyson get tangled up, and then Stubbs got the penalty. However, I didn't see him do anything, but apparently he kind of went after Cooper, I guess, a little bit, and that's where he got the 2-minute power play or penalty for unsportsmanlike. Power play opportunities, Binghamton 1 for 5, Port Huron 0 for 3. Shots on goal was Binghamton 22, Port Huron 3. Yes, 3 shots on goal. Totals, Binghamton 35 and Port Huron 7. I think the math is 4 plus 3 is 7. Yeah, it's 7. Taylor, what about the third period?
There was no score in the third period as the Black Bears and Prowlers shared some power play opportunities, with the Black Bears getting the win 3-1.
All right. So Gavin Yates gets a 10-minute misconduct. This was hilarious. I don't know what the hell happened here. I can't explain it. I know people want answers sometimes to these weird things that happen. But Gavin Yates gets a 10-minute misconduct for unsportsmanlike conduct. And then after one of the stoppages, leaves to go back to the locker room. Now, he got the penalty at the 9:19 mark, so that means he could return for the last 41 seconds of the game. But for some reason, he was in the penalty box, then left after the first stoppage. And then when Tyson motioned to Cam Servone, who was in that bright blue suit, he had him go back and get Gavin, and he went back to the box and sat there until the last 41 seconds. And then I can't remember if there was a stoppage of play in the last 41 seconds and he came out of the box. Maybe he did. But apparently Gavin thought maybe his night was done. And then he came back. So it was a weird situation that happened. It was a delay in the game. And I'm like, all right, guys, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden you see Tyson, waving to Cam Servone, and he goes and gets Gavin, and Gavin comes back out. It was just hilarious. Nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah, weird is definitely the right word there. It literally, it looked like Gavin came out on the ice. The ref pointed at him and then pointed at the box, and Gavin just stood there. I didn't see him do anything. I didn't even see him say anything.
Yeah.
And it was just like he went to the box, and it was one of those, what happened? And nobody knows. And then I look up, and he's not in the box anymore, and I'm like, what is going on? And then he's coming back out into the box, and I looked at Jeremy, and I was like, what is happening right now? And he's like, that's a new one. I don't really know. He did come back out. There was I think as you said, 41 seconds left. He did come out. And because I made a comment to Jeremy, and I was like, hey, there's still 41 seconds left in the game, and he's out here again.
Yeah.
And as far as Cam Servone, he's always in a blue suit. He's very easy to point out when he's not playing, because it's always the same color. I don't know if it's the same suit or not, but it's very easy to point him out. So it's probably easy to get his attention too.
That's probably true. All right, Port Huron takes their timeout after Mac Jansen takes a tripping penalty with 2:10 left, then pulled Reid Cooper to make it 5-on-4, as they still had had Reggie Millette in the box. Listen, there's a lot you can say about these games this weekend, or about how the Prowlers played, which I don't think we got their best games. And then there was a defensive game with a lot of grit and sandpaper. Yes, you can say that they were not overly chippy, borderline, maybe dirty. But either way, this was not their best. I saw some fans respond saying that these guys are dirty and cheap. And I'm going, in these two games? I mean, they might have been a little reckless with their sticks a little bit, but this was not the dirty, cheap Port Huron Prowlers we're used to seeing.
Yeah, this weekend, on the ice stuff, definitely it wasn't them. No. It seemed like it didn't seem like the team that we had faced, or the team that we've seen, all these penalties coming from, the past, games that they've played. Maybe they're just referring to, because there was a couple off ice issues. I know, some of the fans got chippy, and especially in Saturday's night game. I know there was an issue between, I guess, some college people and the Prowlers. They had the security was down there, I think, for the rest of the night. So there was an issue over there. There was, I guess, somebody reached around, somebody else reached, and it was, I don't really know what happened. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
That's just what I was told from one of the Redcoats down there. But it does get kind of chippy with the Prowlers when they're coming off the ice. It's just, and the funny thing is the comment that Jeremy had made is, maybe if they ran or if they played the puck as well as they run their mouth, they probably would have scored some more.
Yeah.
But that's just, it's the name of the game. When you're coming off the ice, it's going to happen. It's going to get chippy. Stuff like that's going to happen.
Yep.
But honestly, I don't think anything was, that dirty.
Overly
maybe
egregious.
The elbowing, or it wasn't horrible. It wasn't anything that was crazy.
Now, on the Black Bear side of things, they're firing on all cylinders right now, though we haven't seen Stefan on the ice yet. The depth on this team is crazy. Even Zach talked to me after the game about the depth and having Thompson on the third line with him, which if you look at that and you go, wait, Thompson's on the third line, what did he do wrong this time? No, he didn't do anything wrong. You have to spread this wealth out, and you're not going to put all your best players all on just one line or two lines. It's going to be on three lines now. The Black Bears winning streak is now up to 8 games. Power play opportunities, Binghamton 0 for 2, Port Huron 0 for 3. Shots on goal, Binghamton 14, Port Huron 9. They finally got 9. That's respectable. We're okay with that now. Totals, Binghamton 49 and Port Huron 16. All right, why don't you do the wrap-up part of it, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what Chris Paulin said after the game.
Black Bears sweep weekend series send Prowlers home with 2 losses. Zach Sirota scored his 3rd goal of the season. Austin Durazio scored his 9th goal of the season. Dan Stone scored his 2nd goal of the season. Both goals this season have been on the power play. Ivan Bondarenko assisted on 2 goals for a 2-point night. Dominik Tmej saved 15 of 16 shots, winning his 6th game of the season, improving to 6-1-0. The Black Bears have now won their last 8 games and will try for 9 games on the road next Friday in Danbury. Against the Hat Tricks, the Black Bears improved to 17-2-0 with 50 points and remain atop of the Empire Division.
This is a good team we played tonight. That's a good team. It's a very, very confident group over there. They've had a lot of success this season. They make you pay for mistakes. So to create offense, a lot of other teams in the league will let you have offense. You have to earn offense. And there's things tactically that we've been working on as a group, especially the last month here, that we haven't gotten good enough at yet to have sustained offense against a team like that. They're good. I give them credit. They found a way to fit all those guys in the salary cap, which I'm impressed with. It's a great job by them. And but we're coming. We're going to be a lot better team here. We're going to, I think it's nice that they're very fat and happy over there. I know there's a lot of hungry guys in that room, and we know what we need to do. We know where we need to be.
I just found that so entertaining. First of all, he says a lot of nice things about the Black Bears, and then he says, "Oh, but let's check out the salary cap number," and then he calls them fat and I don't know what did he say again? Hold on, let me play
fat
it.
And happy.
Yeah. This is it right here.
Yeah, I think it's nice that they're very fat and happy over there.
Yeah, so they're fat and happy. First of all, they have John Quiville keeping those guys in shape. They're not fat at all, but they are certainly happy. I totally agree with that. It was just a hilarious thing. And then again, one more time with the salary cap thing, because this is just hilarious.
They found a way to fit all those guys in the salary cap, which I'm impressed with. It's a great job by them.
just like you say,
maybe he just meant fat as in they're keeping their wallets fat because we're maxing out the salary cap and we're going overboard over here. Maybe that's what he was talking about.
So here's the funny thing about that, right? Like I didn't hear that, and then I spoke to Connor McAnanima after the game, and I said to him, I said, "Hey, listen, are you still bouncing this year?" He goes, "No, I got a raise." So yeah, you're right. The salary cap rose like almost $1,900 a week, right? Almost $1,900 a week from what it was before. And some of these guys got raises, and it allowed the team to max out the salary cap, right? Like this team can max out the salary cap. The owner cares enough that he'll be like, all right, the salary cap is this amount. All right, I'm going to that amount and I'm going to pay for that. You know what I mean? It's not that difficult to figure out.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got to have something to, complain about. And what else can you complain about this team? We're not out there taking, making dirty hits or, doing bad things. The calls, were a little rough on both sides. I mean, we had the blown offsides call or the icing call, the blown icing call. That was, I think, probably the worst call I've ever seen. And that definitely got the fans riled up, which was hysterical. And that the stoppage when they took the minute or two to, I don't know what they were doing, but the stoppage after that, it felt awkward. Like I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah.
But it was just so funny to me, like how long they paused after that happened.
No, I totally agree. It was just insane. All right, Taylor, let's get into what's on tap for the Black Bears.
So next for the Black Bears, Friday they play in Danbury versus the Hat Tricks. They are 5-0-0 versus the Hat Tricks this season. They are 2-0-0 in Danbury Ice Arena this season. Saturday they host the Hat Tricks at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena. The Black Bears are 3-0-0 versus the Hat Tricks at the arena this season. This is the beginning of 4 games straight versus the Hat Tricks and then 5 straight games versus the Watertown Wolves. The next time the Black Bears see a different opponent that is not the Wolves or the Hat Tricks is over a month from today, January 9th and 10th, as the Black Bears will travel to Winston-Salem to face off against the Twin City Thunderbirds.
Yeah, gross. Everything about that was just horrible, because 9 straight games coming up against 2 opponents, and then when they do get a third opponent, the fans in Binghamton, unless they travel down to Winston-Salem, which some just might, because that's just the way the Binghamton fans are, because they're fat and happy. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, I think it's nice that they're very fat and happy over there.
Yeah, so that's what Chris thinks we are, and we're fat and happy as fans, as commentators, as whoever it is. I just love that quote. Like, I can play this almost all the time.
Yeah, I think it's nice that they're very fat and happy over there.
Don't know why. I'm just gonna. Oh my gosh, I'm keeping that on the board, by the way. So anytime, we're doing good, I'm just gonna remind everybody exactly what Chris Paulin thinks of us.
Yeah, I think it's nice that they're very fat and happy over there.
All right, I'm done with that. Overall, I think it was a great weekend. We obviously have a tough stretch against 2 opponents over the next 9 games that, there can be some boredom. There can be some unfortunate, heated rivalries. Like when you play 4 games against somebody in a row, tensions will rise. Play 5 games against somebody, tensions are going to rise. So it'll be interesting. We'll preview, obviously, next weekend's games on Thursday. But again, I think coming out of this weekend, probably better than most people probably thought we were going to initially, until we found out all the issues that they were having. And then I just don't think I think defensively they were able to put up a fight against us, but ultimately they could not beat us when it comes to the most important part of hockey, which is really honestly scoring goals. They weren't able to compete with us on that. So Taylor, I think it'll be interesting to see what Danbury brings to the table. Every single time we faced Danbury this year, they've gotten a little bit better and a little bit better.
Yeah, but on the plus side, it is 4 straight games, but 3 of them are home, and it's 3 back-to-back games at home. So I could probably help you out with your writing. You could probably just start putting 6-3 for the overall goals, because that seems to be happening every time we face Danbury at home.
It'd be interesting to see if it happens again this year against Danbury, right?
If it happens again, it'll be weird. It's already weird that it's happened 3 times as is.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Join the conversation on Facebook, search for Power Play Post Show, and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey? Visit binghamtonhockey.net, your go-to source for stats, history, and all things Binghamton Hockey. Thank you to Rob LaPolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and of course, Will Wiggleman for providing such great audio to make this episode of the Power Play Post Show so entertaining, with Reid Cooper and, of course, with Chris Paulin. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.